Oh my God, we are back with yet another episode of Grindhouse Chic. As always, I am Robert Schneider and I am joined by the Ohio. I can't, I was going to say something stupid, try to do alliteration, but I can't. Matt Armstrong. What is going on with you?
Oh, not too much. I'm just an Ohio oligarch over here. Huh?
I think you're not an oligarch. You are not an oligarch. If you were, you wouldn't be working. You'd be able to really catch up on all the movies that you own that you haven't watched yet.
That would be nice.
Um, I just gotta say, this week has been the first week where everything I've ordered has arrived within days of each other. I have my blood money from Arrow spaghetti western set.
Hmm.
I got my vinegar syndrome order. My Kino order was supposed to be delivered today, but they said I have to go pick it up at the post office now. So I have no idea when I'm going to be able to do that. And I've been balls deep in the central world of Black Emmanuel.
You are pretty balls deep in that one.
I have watched all the canon films, like all the films that are considered canon. So I've watched the first six discs, every movie on them, and a lot of the special features. I can now say that in my apartment complex and at work and among the DC comedy scene, I am a scholar on Laura Gemser and the Black Emmanuel films.
So 6 discs, is that 3 films per?
No, there's two films per on those discs,
Okay.
plus a ton of documentaries. Um, I think Severin has raised the bar on box sets because almost every disc so far has a documentary that gives more context to the films, to the
Hmm.
actors, and I mean, I'm just gonna say these movies aren't good movies. They are good for what they are. Um, they are good TNA films, but the stories make no sense. And but they look beautiful. The only one I have qualms on is Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals. That the subtitle or the subtitles the subtitles. I watched them with subtitles on it. Was very different from the dub dialogue in there, and it was kind of driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So are you halfway through it?
I am. I think I have seven more discs of movies on there, and I am going to take a little break. I just need to. There's only so much softcore erotica that you
Yeah.
can take over the span of 5 days, six
Get a
days.
get a couple of rom-coms in there or something.
Um, I like yesterday. I stopped because to watch the Beanie Bubble on Apple TV Plus, and all I could think was, my God, I need to get back just to finish all these movies, just to finish the movies where she's called Emmanuel in them.
Hmm.
So there's the box set. Um, the first six discs cover the Black Emmanuel series, except two doesn't really count because it's a different actress and has nothing to do with the first one. So anyone that's considered canon, according to Severin and the Black Emmanuel Bible that comes with it, is where her name is Emmanuel
Hmm.
and she is a photographer. So that would be Black Emmanuel, Black Emmanuel in Bangkok, Black Emmanuel, or I'm sorry, Emmanuel in Bangkok, Emmanuel in America, Emmanuel around the world, Emmanuel in the Last Cannibals, and then Violence in a Women's Prison and Women's Prison or Emmanuel in Prison, which are basically the same movie with the same cast and same director. And then there were two Mondo films on there, which I guess they just call it that. I guess they call those canon because she's hosting them as Emmanuel.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm pretty unfamiliar. I have one of them, but
yeah, I just had the last Cannibals,
yeah, that's what I have.
and I just this was a lot of money to go in blind, but again, Severin has really outdone themselves,
Nice.
completely outdone themselves. It's unless something else spectacular comes out, this might be the release of the year.
Are you sore or are you chafed?
No, 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 no. The sex in this movies are, for the most part, are just simulated. But and there are some things in there that I really hope were simulated according to the documentaries they were. But I will just say this, that Joe D'Amata is a sick fucking individual who pushes the envelope in the films he directed. He also reuses a lot of footage, especially in Emmanuel and the white slave trade. Like 25% of the footage is from other movies
Oh,
with just different dialogue. But
that's nice of him.
yeah, well, it's because the Italian films are shot silent and then dialogue is added later. But yeah, so far, release of the year. I know when we do our top 10 at the end of the year, I will probably just be praising this one.
Mhm.
I know you didn't order. Are you planning on
Uh, Probably, yeah. I would like to sit here and say no, but we know how that goes.
FOMO? Right.
Yep.
So when we're recording this, we are a couple days away from the launch of the new Vinegar Syndrome sister site, Mezzanine. Is that how you pronounce it? Or
Melazine, yeah.
yeah. So how many releases do you think they're gonna have on Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day, and I think once this is introduced, I mean, I don't know how many of them I would get in general, but I feel like this will probably be about the time when I start um picking and choosing
Well,
instead of just grab bag and everything.
they can't grab bag everything. Um, I was watching. So I did a little bit more partner labeling this past month. I got the V8 Shitfest of Adjust Your Tracking, the documentary of the history of VHS collecting. This is the first time I think I've really felt ripped off because it looked just as bad as the DVD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was there anything else on it?
Oh
Like more
yeah.
special features?
Yeah. I mean, the DVD was 2 discs full of special features. So was the Blu-ray and some new stuff on it. But I don't know. It just looked like crap. And maybe I wouldn't feel this way if I just watched the DVD. Just watched the DVD a few weeks ago. But I was kind of disappointed in that one. Midnight Spares from Umbrella. I have. So I did watch like 5 minutes of the Adjust Your Tracking. I just want to see if it looked better. Midnight Spares from Umbrella, which is like a car heist racing movie.
Hmm.
Um, it's a good film, not a great film, but one thing really just kind of held me back from really liking it was the main character was about 30 years old and he was dating a 16-year-old and he knew it. And I don't know what it was like in Australia in the 70s when this or early age when this movie was made, but I was in agreement with her mother and the rest of the family when they were not cool with the relationship. I'm like, you tell him, you tell him. But
Oh, those were their like actual ages in the movie, not just it wasn't just an old guy trying to play a teenager.
no, no, he was 30 in the movie,
Oh, okay.
and it just kind of ruined the film for me. Again, I know things were different back then. I mean, if you watch Woody Allen's Manhattan, she was also underage. But it just with today's sensibilities, and he shouldn't have been going after her. Especially when he said, I went to school with your older sister or cousin.
Yeah.
And Video Diary of a Lost Girl um is an interesting film. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. It was like it reminded me of Dr. Caligari, the 1989 film that Mondo Macabro put out aesthetically, but it would also be the love child of Liquid Sky and Bad Biology. The main character is the succubus who works at a video store, and she has to have sex once a month or she dies, but when she has sex, she kills the other person.
Hmm. Very nice.
It was pretty arty. Have you watched anything from your VS shipment?
No, I just got it finally, I think 2 days ago, and kind of went through everything, but no, I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
So you did spend the $75 on the zombie comic book set.
That I did.
Was it worth it?
I mean, I haven't dug into it yet, but it looks really nice. It's definitely a a beefier package than I was expecting. And the t-shirt, it's nice.
Just out of curiosity, what is the cover price of the comics in there?
Um, I don't know. I haven't opened it up yet.
It just felt too much money for what you were getting.
I believe I saw a picture of everything kind of taken out of it, and there's way more comics in there than I thought there'd be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. As you know, I collect graphic novels, and I couldn't justify the price for that.
Yeah. I'm trying to see so I paid 85 for it.
Why 85? I thought it was 7.
There might have been a couple different versions of it. So it was 95 and then I had the $10
Okay.
coupon for it. Maybe it's just because it has the t-shirt might have been a little extra more.
It's funny that they're releasing a comic book of a movie they can't release.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
watched it? Have you watched anything good this week?
I went and saw Barbie finally. Um, thought that was pretty entertaining. Um,
Are you a Ken or an Alan?
oh, I'm an Allen, all right.
Actually, I can see you as a Ken. I can see you on the beach serenading your wife to some Matchbox 20.
I did like that.
I mean, could they not afford the rights to a Nickelback song? Or did Greta Gerwig and I can't remember, Noah Baumbach did not want to do something so cliche, so they went second tier cliche.
They needed a more patriarchal song, so they went with Push.
What a bad song. I really, you know what? That might be so far my favorite thing I've seen in the theater this year. Probably until Maxine comes out, unless Maxine has been delayed.
Mm,
Because we are still in the writers and actors strike, and it doesn't look like anything's going to happen anytime soon.
yeah.
Anytime soon. So, what is your conquering your collection pick of the week?
Oh man, I let me see how long this movie was. 83 minutes. I started watching it about 3 times probably. I kept trying to get into it, and I still have like 20 minutes left in this movie, and I just like cannot finish it.
What movie is that?
It is from 1987, directed by Peter George. It is Surf Nazis Must Die.
Oh, yeah, it's a horrible movie.
There
Fucking
were
trauma.
there were like some parts that I don't know. There were some things about it that I liked. Um, Like it kind of reminded me of like a terrible mix between like Lost Boys and um like Point Break and
You just desecrate the memory of those two movies.
um but yeah, it's just I don't know. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's about I guess a group of surfers who have a grand plan to take over the world, I guess. They call themselves the surf Nazis, and their enemies are the samurai surfers. um, and they just it kind of reminded me of like the first Ninja Turtles movie too. So lump all those three together, I think you get a really bad movie named this. But
Can
then
I?
one day they kill a guy, and the guy's mom, who the whole time you're kind of wondering what her role is in this movie. Um, she goes out for revenge for the death of her son, and I think that's about. I got to see a little bit of the revenge so far, but that's
It was the first trauma film that disappointed me.
uh
Um, I really, again, when I first saw the original Toxic Avenger, I loved it. Sergeant Kabuki Man, I loved it. Toxic Avenger 2, I was okay. But this one, I had such high hopes for because I love the name, and
yeah,
it did not live up to it.
yeah. I'm just I don't know. Like I was having a hard time. Like, are they just racist towards like different styles of surfers?
I don't remember because I haven't seen that movie since it came out on VHS.
Yeah, because they have like a mantra at the beginning that's like only surfers who put their left foot forward on the board are the supreme surfers or something, and everyone else is inferior or something.
Just like curiosity, how long ago did you buy that?
um Couple years. I um I got a bunch of like real cheap 88 films Blu-rays. They were having like a big sale. It was definitely like during COVID.
Okay.
um I don't know if anyone else has anyone else put it out on Blu-ray.
I think Troma put it out.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
um Yeah, I mean, I really want to finish it, but just seems so hard.
My conquering my collection pick wasn't that easy to watch either. Um, because I have been exploring black and every inch of black and Manuel. I have I have I had decided to watch a Scream in the Streets from the early 70s. Severin put it out. Um, it was bad. It was bad. It was about this man who dresses up as a woman because he hates women and rapes and kills women. It was then there are two sets of cops. It was like someone saw massage parlor murders and decided to make a worse movie. It did have one funny scene in it where I'm still laughing. Um, it features the porn star Colleen Brennan before I think she did porn. She played a dispatcher at the police, and this guy who was kind of seen her comes in and gives her coffee, and he's like two lumps, and then while the dialogue is going on, um, the camera is just focused on her breasts or her amply sized bosom. This movie was terrible. It was not good. It made me wish to watch Emmanuel Around the World again.
Was there a reasoning for her, or I guess him, to dress up as a woman? Is it just to
Yeah,
like fool them?
I think I don't remember, to be honest. And I watched it this morning. That's how much this movie didn't stick with me. But again, if you look at it by today's standards, it's kind of Hey, let's put a guy in a dress, unknowingly that they're making fun and basically criminalizing the scene out there.
Hmm.
And for me, that didn't work either. I might just be too diehard liberal where I'm too woke to enjoy some of these films. But I think the greatest crime was how bad the story, directing, and acting was. But,
Sounds like it.
but I bought it in a Severin bundle once, and it was the only thing from that bundle I hadn't watched. So I figured Severin has taken so much of my time this past week, I might as well just continue with that. And God,
I think you just need a break from the label for a little while.
well, hopefully they. Well, no, I can't because at some point in August, my my summer sale stuff will arrive.
Yeah, when you just brought up bad biology, I all of a sudden remembered that I bought that bundle.
You forgot that you bought that bundle?
Yeah.
Did you buy just the discs or did you buy everything?
I just got the discs.
Okay. I am really looking forward to those arriving. I am more excited about those than I am about the shipment I got from Vinegar Syndrome this month. But now that the smut is back, I'll be happy again.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what they announce for the first um between that and Vinegar Syndrome. I feel like
Well,
all
the
the like little banners that are usually a clue have just been for the new site.
Vinegar Syndrome is having a German film, a couple of Brazilian films, and I saw someone complaining about this that it's too much foreign stuff now.
Mm.
And I'm like, that really hasn't changed. I mean, this year they've been globetrotting quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know. I just think I think I've been saying this a lot. I think this is their tipping point because they have so many good releases during the big sales, and then during the rest of the year. Actually, that's not true. In January, there is good stuff as well, but I don't know. I just feel like there was nothing really exciting from their July releases.
Mm-hmm. What are you I'm assuming this new site is going to have a subscription of some sort,
I
I would
doubt it.
think. You
I
don't think
doubt it.
so? Well, if
No.
they do, would you do both?
Yes. But I mean, that would only be. So here's why I don't think it will be because Vinegar Syndrome is Picorama, and then I don't think they've merged with Distribix. I think they're now just releasing them still under Distribix. So I would say that would probably be more like a partner label for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that will include the Command Cinema stuff. But I'm just worried that they're going to put so much new stuff on that website that there's no way to afford it all in one fall swoop.
Yeah.
And plus, none of it will, except for the old stuff, will be 50% off in the sale. So, but you know what I think I need because of, again, watching all these dirty movies? I think I need some salvation.
Okay.
And today we are going to get some because we are talking about if footmen tire, what will horses do? And the burning hell, written and directed by Ron Ormond, based on the sermons of Estus Pirkle, which is the most southern name I've ever
I
heard.
know. What a terrible name.
Um, so a little bit about Ron Ormond, just a sentence, because I'm pretty sure everyone who listens to the show already knows the story that he was an exploitation filmmaker who made stuff like why the fuck can I remember the movie's name? I did my research on Pirkle. Mesa of Lost Women, Um, Mesa of Lost Women, Untamed Mistress, uh, do, 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 The Girl from Tobacco Row, and The Exotic Ones, which might be my favorite film of his before he went in the direction he went in after a plane crash that nearly killed him, his wife, and his kid. They became very religious and started making Christian films, three of which were partnered with Estus Pirkle, um, who was a Baptist minister out of why am I already on the wrong page? Sorry, who was a of the Locust Grove Baptist Church in New Albany, Mississippi for 36 years. His son Greg, who I will get to when we talk more about the Footmen film, is a Republican politician out of Mississippi. Oh man. So if footmen tire, what will horses do? Is the story about a girl, was her name Jenny?
Judy.
Judy. Judy was a bad girl. Bad girl.
But she wanted to keep up her image, though. That's got to count for something.
Who goes to the church where Pirkle is giving a sermon on the evils of communism and how in 24 months it would have taken over America and Christians will die. Good thing I'm Jewish, because if it did, I would still be alive. Buddhists would still be alive. Muslims would still be alive. Atheists for sure would be alive. Everyone would be alive except for Christians. And he paints this horrible picture that you work 7 days a week, starting at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
People with machine guns. The only 2 days you'll have off is to celebrate the communist state. And then the sermon goes on. Judy starts getting more and more scared. We see flashbacks of her, a woman who would be way too old to be her mother, unless she had Judy at 50. Pray for Judy to get saved by, giving her life to God or Jesus. And the sermon all of a sudden goes into these really weird facts about what would happen if communists took over America. And yeah, it seemed a little weird. Look, first of all, I am not religious. I'm going to be poking fun, but we are not going to be poking fun at anyone's faith.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be poking fun of how much research wasn't put into this movie. And
you're telling me these weren't real statistics?
I as you know, I do research. I go on Google and Google things. So when he was going over the number of Christians who died in Russia, China, Korea, and Cuba, none of them real.
Yeah.
First of all, in China and Korea, or North Korea, Buddhism is the number one religion. So not even close to those numbers. In Russia, all I could find was 2,000 people died in 1922.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2,000 Christians died in 1922. I don't know. I didn't look at Cuba, but I was just flabbergasted. And like one of the things that he talked about in the movie is like how the propaganda would come into play, like the scene with the kids when they said Jesus won't answer your prayers and give you candy, but Fidel Castro will.
I was dying at that part. That was hilarious.
He never explained who took over America. Was it Russia? Was it Cuba? Was it during the middle of the day at school and people started parachuting down and the teacher said, that ain't right. He goes out and checks and then he gets shot. And where were the Wolverines? Where were the Wolverines at this point? This was the South. Everybody had guns. They just wouldn't give up that. They just gave up that easily.
It's those communists, man. They can't be stopped.
All right. All right. To be fair, he said in 24 months this would happen in America. I'm guessing 24 months from when the movie was filmed, not 24 months from today.
Mm-hmm.
How bad was he trying to scare his what are they called who go to church? Parishioners.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing I didn't understand, because I mean, assuming this came out in 71, assuming it was filmed, I'd say within 5 years before that or something. Like,
It was filmed probably within months before it came
yeah.
out.
I mean, the Red Scare was like over.
And
It was just
the Cuban Missile Crisis was nearly a decade beforehand, so not even a
yeah.
decade. But I don't know what it was like being in a small town in Mississippi, and these movies only played in churches. How intelligent were the audience? How intelligent were the parishioners? Did they believe everything the preacher told them? Because I would be shaking in my boots if I heard that.
Well, fast forward 50 years and we know the answer to that question.
And I think one of the most powerful things about Estus Pirkle was, man, he was a good speaker.
Yeah, he was. He was a good speaker. He was very well like put together. Glasses. I liked those glasses. He had a good head of hair.
Yes.
Very clean cut.
Unlike us.
I know.
But it was just, I mean, ridiculous. But I mean, the people in his parish were nodding along in agreement. They looked angry. These look like the kind of people who would fuck with invaders.
Yeah.
They just look mad. But going back to the invasion, because I find the invasion sequences completely and utterly fascinating. Where were the tanks? Why did they still let churches exist? I mean, the first thing in an invasion is you destroy those places.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm an army commander or anything, but you just don't leave them sitting out there where people can still congregate.
You don't think the enemy would come in and just try to talk you out of your belief?
There was first of all, the opening scene where you see all the dead kids on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Not what you expect in a gospel film.
Yeah.
I mean, these movies were 180 from the first two discs in this set. I mean, these movies had blood, decapitations, forced adultery or cuckolding, as the kids call it these days.
Mm-hmm.
And the communists all had really fake accents because you could hear the southern drawl and all of that. All right, so I'm kind of going all over the place. We have the newscast once they take over. So the president has been shot, the Secretary of State, the Speaker of the House, Vice President is doing something. He must have been in cahoots with the commies because he wasn't mentioned. Governors were getting killed. no context to that. There was no
Mhm.
all right, we're living these perilous times, and boom, Russians have taken over. Like at the beginning of Red Dawn, they had a little thing that NATO split up, unemployment was high, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it just seemed like these people were like, okay, Russians are taking over. It's business as usual. And then they said you'd be working 6, 7 days a week from the wee hours of the morning till late at night. But man, there are plenty of time for these people to go to church.
Yeah.
Like at the outdoor sermon where the communists come in, shoot everyone, and then take the kids and basically deafen them by putting bamboo sticks in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. One of the funnier parts I thought was when they were showing like what the communists made the women do, and it was like women are forced to sit on chairs without cushions or back cushions, and they have to watch a video for like 17 hours a day, and it just says Christianity is stupid. Christianity is stupid. It's like
I have to ask you something. Do you find that shocking?
yeah.
I want that as a T-shirt with Estus Pirkle on it.
Yeah.
You find that shocking? But then there's a scene where they come to the house. You see the parents and kids on the porch. Again, the villainous communists have taken over, and they're just sitting at their house, swinging away like nothing's happened.
Mm-hmm.
They take the kids. Okay, I'm like, okay, you have horses. Okay, then a Ford truck pops up where you put the kids in the back. Then you shoot the wife. This
Just
must have
because.
been, this must have been the most passive takeover ever.
And quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, as the newscaster said, this is the end of democracy as we know it, or America as we know it.
um there was one thing right before that where again we were talking about the stats, and Estus,
Estes.
sorry, um says less than 60 years ago there was not one single communist in the world, whereas today communism controls 1 billion people. That's half the population. A, that would only be true if this was like 1927. And B, like, kind of goes back to where he's saying like, we don't know what country is invading. It's like, where does he think the communists came from? They're just like, they just appeared one day and they just started infiltrating all these countries.
No, it was so again, I am not a student of communism, but there was a point in my life where I was fascinated by the USSR, and we had encyclopedias where I would read up on it. Kids did have to go to school for 6 days, but they went to school. um, the state provided everything: your home, your job. Sometimes you had to live on collective farms like Colossus from the X-Men. But look, I'm not saying communism is good because it wasn't. It was a failed system. But man, Pirkle made it sound like it was evil.
Yeah. And I think it's because he just doesn't know what it is, really. I mean,
No, I think he knows what it is. I think he's doing it to scare people. I
oh, for
mean,
sure.
these movies were made scary for a reason, so you would, one, stay with the church, and two, devote your life to God. So there was a scene where, you know, you shouldn't stop reading the Bible to watch cartoons.
Yeah.
I don't see how the two correlate. There was a stat that he had. I'm going to go to my notes here. That kind of wasn't true.
Probably
Um,
not.
crimes in area with TV has risen by 1,000%. I, I need proof on that. Drive-ins are a cesspool of sin, and dancing leads to adultery.
Yeah, that was like I laughed pretty hard on that, and I was like, "What does that even mean?" And then he clarified and said, "What starts as a dance is meant to be finished in the bedroom." I was like,
Well, yeah. You're hoping your sweet moves are gonna get you laid. That's why I went to dance school. No,
"There's
it's
just so much crazy in the things he's saying."
um I kind of like, all right, I'm gonna go with some of my favorite stuff. When Judy was getting dropped off, she invited her beau to come in, and his greatest line, "I'm a lover, not a Christian."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
um and Estus was giving a little thing about his dad's school. They played a game called Drop the Handkerchief.
It sounds pretty sexual.
It sounds boring. Um, but I love the sex ed teacher saying that premarital sex is a necessity. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about them damn liberals teaching stuff like that in our public schools.
Oh yeah.
It's just some things haven't changed. Like we bitched today about, teaching critical race theory, which isn't taught in any elementary, middle, or high school. It is taught in nursery school. It is taught in nursery school because no, that's a bad joke. Talks about transgender being evil. Nope. Nope. But back then it was sex ed. It was dancing. It was drinking. And speaking of drinking, was when the commander comes over to that one house to have sex with the guy's wife.
Yeah.
Do you know what really bothered me about that scene the most?
Um, she was sewing all day.
No. That
That's
was
what women do.
no. Was the house still had books in it?
Oh yeah. Right by the
Again,
front door.
if the communists took over, those books would be burnt.
Yeah.
And and the thing is, when the commander came over, I'm like, you know what? Your reasoning actually makes sense. It just makes sense. It was really stupid, really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Um, when that same commander went to the church and asked if anyone had been saved, and the young couple said they had been, he shoots them. Then he shoots everybody else, and then a little kid comes out holding a picture of Jesus. This kid was Greg Pirkle, Estus's son, where he says the greatest line in the movie. He looks at the picture of Jesus and goes, "Jesus, you died for me. Today I will die for you."
That was also one of the best parts when the communist just says like, put your shoe on this picture, I'm gonna cut your head off.
And then he took out the knife, and it looked like he got hard. It looked like he was about to blow his load, and he got to decapitate somebody.
Oh.
And that decapitation might have been one of the greatest scenes of all time. Even though it looked so fucking fake, you could tell they put so much work into it. And fun fact, that kid was sitting next to Judy when she sat down at the church.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did like Judy's looks of, oh no, during the sermon.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no plot to this movie to discuss. I also liked when they went into that one family's house and they're trying to get the kid to admit that he's not he's not a Christian or a what the fuck was it? Or basically a capitalist.
Mm.
And the mom is going, but you are a Christian. What would have made that scene better is if the kid went, Mom, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, is that the scene where he was like, Jesus knows I'm a Christian and he'll forgive me for lying just this one time or something? And then his
Yeah.
mom just sold him out.
Oh, it was so ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. But I have to ask, did you find that shocking?
I found a lot shocking in this movie, and not in the way they intended. I thought the most shocking part was at the end when, I guess it wasn't really shocking just based on how this was, but just the way that Estus is really just trying to drive in fear into this. And when Judy's mom dies at the end, he starts talking about like, if you would have just accepted Christianity, your mom would have died easier. Like, you're just gonna guilt her into it. Like, that doesn't mean you're accepting anything.
I thought you were gonna say at the end when he looks at the camera and goes,
Oh yeah.
Will you come? Will you come? Will you come? Later that night, yeah, sure.
I did, yeah, I did.
No, it was so Judy was an interesting character. She was the the person on the cusp. She went to church, but she was not saved. And then she was, because this sermon on communism put her in the right direction. You know who I feel bad for is when her boyfriend would pick her up at the end of it and realize he wasn't going to get any.
Yeah.
It was just terrible.
Yeah, and the whole time I was watching it, I kept trying to think like, I don't know. These are the only movies that I've watched from Ron, so I don't know how the first set of movies were before he turned religious, but I feel like if he would have made the movie where the communists actually took over and there wasn't Estes in it and it wasn't that kind of whole deal, I feel like that would have been a pretty sweet movie.
Well, to be honest, that's a better plot than the at least the 6 movies on the discs.
Mm-hmm.
He was already basically making religious films. There, one involved a preacher and a convict. Yeah, the exotic ones out of the ones on these discs was the one that was the most out there. But that movie was made after the plane crash, right before he went full on Christian.
Mm.
I think the last 6 movies on this, or the religious movies, are the more interesting movies in his career.
Okay.
The other ones are okay, but think Steckler, but not as perverted.
Okay. Okay. I do like that these are short.
They're an hour.
Yeah.
Some might say they're too long.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this one, at least, I felt like it went by pretty quick.
It did because you had a decapitation in there.
Yeah.
You had a lot of death. You got kids thanking Castro for candy, and you got a soul saved. But
and a lot of laughs.
There were laughs. There were laughs along the way. But all right. So before we go into the other film, this movie really was propaganda.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I mean, there was, because the internet didn't exist and smartphones didn't exist, and education, this guess probably wasn't the best in New Albany, Mississippi, that people didn't question it.
Yeah.
Like the liberal high school professor didn't come in there and just went, well, you're a little wrong on this. He would have lost his job the next day and been pitchforked out of town. Speaking
He
of
was
which,
too busy. He was too busy talking about the women's 7 erogenous zones.
7? There were 7 back then?
Oh yeah.
Oh man. No, but this was really bad propaganda. And in some ways it was dangerous that he was getting this out there. Now, I'm a full proponent of free speech, but he was sending a very scary message that wasn't factually accurate,
Right. Yeah.
because no one in these churches would question him.
And I mean, in a way, it's, hypocritical at the same time. It's like, you're doing the same exact thing that you're trying to warn. You're trying to warn of. You're trying to, I hate to throw around the word indoctrinate, but
Yeah, it's total
that's what they're doing. Yeah.
yeah, it's total indoctrination. And he used film to get it out there. Now, from what, on the commentary with Greg Pirkle, a lot of churches at the beginning did not want to show this film because of how violent it was. But if it was a straight sermon, it would not have been as interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the one really good thing about partnering with someone like Ron Ormond was Ron Ormond knew what an audience would get excited about, what would get them talking, and more importantly, what would scare them.
Yeah. Is this
Because
the one that made a bunch of money, or is it the next one?
I believe it was the next one.
Okay.
Again, never shown in a theater.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask, how many decapitated kids would you give this movie?
I'm gonna go. Man, I feel like it's so hard to rate. I think I'm gonna go 2.5. Um, I think it only gets stars from the non sermon aspects of it, because it is genuinely funny. Um, I just think there's a way to do this that's not fear mongering. I mean, you can be a Christian without being
Look,
like this.
again, as someone raised Jewish, and when I went to temple, we did not have movies like this. Though, after watching one on the 4th disc, I realized I had seen it before. Because I had a friend in 6th grade named Stace Mullins who once slept over at my house and told me about this movie. And I'm like, this sounds great. He goes, well, it's playing at my church on Friday. You want to go? I'm like, yes. And then I've been looking for it for years. I couldn't remember what it was called, and I lost contact with Stace after 8th grade. And it was on the 4th disc.
Nice.
And it had laser guns in it. Because in 6th grade, it's all about laser guns and science fiction. And that's how I viewed the movie. All right. I will give it 3.5 decapitated kids. Do you find that shocking?
I don't.
But you know what I find shocking? Hell. The burning hell.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking.
So I'm going to use this little space before we get into it. There were several guest preachers in this film. One of them was Dr. Bob Gray. Guess what Bob Gray did?
Ooh, I don't know, but I'm gonna guess something involving children or
Yep.
murder.
You don't have to say any more. Dr. Bob Gray is burning in hell. So this movie obviously had a bigger budget because we start off in Israel, supposedly. And according to the commentary with Tim Ormond, Ron Ormond's son, and who is an actor in almost all of his films. He plays hippie number 2 who doesn't get killed. Basically said they flew to Israel. I'm like,
oh, why?
And to have that choir sing the hell song. I found it weird that some of the people in that crowd look like Satanists. Like the one with the pearl necklace wearing sunglasses.
I found it was weird that Moses was Southern.
I also found it weird that he looked more like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
We're not getting there yet. We're not getting there. So this movie tries to have more of a plot than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And by golly, this one works. You start out with him at home. His wife had let in 2 hippies who came to talk to them about their version of the Bible, their version of hell. And he was glad because he was ready to talk about it. And the one hippie, I was trying to find the actor's name, but when I listened to the commentary, the one who gets decapitated was wrote a bunch of country music songs that were popular.
Oh.
So
he was the one who was playing the main communist in the other one.
He was a communist in the other one, yeah. No, he wasn't.
I think he was the one that was that came into the house to.
No, it wasn't him. Him. That guy was older.
Yeah.
That guy was older. And that guy's in a bunch of other Ron Ormond films from the early days. So these 2 guys come in and try to convince him that hell's not a thing. Pirkle is like, well, you're wrong. And he pulls out his Bible and starts talking about it and invites him to his sermon. And they're like, no way, man. We have a new way, a better way. And they said they wouldn't have come in if they knew he was a preacher. So they go off and they're joyriding. That one guy is riding recklessly. His friend is a little bit slower, a little bit more practical. And he apologized to the preacher. He was the nicer one of the 2, the nicer hippie. And then his friend goes, there's a screech. He must have hit something and he's decapitated. And what does his friend do? What does Tim do? He doesn't call an ambulance or wait for help. He goes to church. And then we find he comes in and, Pirkle is not good. He's not offering remorse. He's telling him his best friend's in hell burning already. And then he sits down and Pirkle starts this amazing sermon that goes through like the Moses and the 3 kings who go into hell because they are not with Moses. I don't recall reading that in the Old Testament.
You didn't read the right one.
I don't recall that in the 10 Commandments. Charlton Heston. I also don't recall Moses looking like Father Time and Santa Claus. That fake beard was terrible. Then there's more preaching, and we got to look at hell. I'm gonna agree with Elizabeth Purcell, the queer film critic who runs a wonderful podcast called Ask Anybody, and they say that this is a hell imagined by the great filmmaker Kenneth Anger. I don't disagree with that at all. Pontius Pilate's down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one guy who beheaded John the Baptist, and everyone he sees looks like John the Baptist. Yeah, hell looked like the to me it looked like how every metal band perceived it. And the devil came out in a rock and roll pose. But
there are a couple stock volcano eruptions thrown in there for good measure.
yeah, well, yeah, there has to be volcanoes in hell. But then we get the parable, but he doesn't call it a parable because he considers it a factual story from the Bible of Lazarus and this rich guy who they don't call it, they give him a fake name because which is basically the majority of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now this rich guy is traveling, he has his brothers, he has his money, he pays off the rabbi, he doesn't like Jesus because Jesus is fermenting something bad to him. He hates the homeless people. He cheats on his wife in front of his wife. And he meets a beggar called Lazarus, and Lazarus knows that when he dies, he'll be going with Jesus, who at this point is really still alive. So I don't know if people really, again, I'm Old Testament. I don't know if people actually thought of him as a god or as a Messiah until after he returned from the dead.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And he would live in a mansion. Really? You get a mansion in heaven?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Oh yeah. Anything that's good, you get there.
You get the lake of life that you can drink out of all you want. You get to wear white robes and no one's yelling toga, which I guess would be heaven.
Yeah.
If they accidentally let in a frat bro. But so Lazarus dies, he goes to heaven. The same night that rich dude dies and he goes to hell. And he begs Lazarus, who's sitting on top with God or Abraham and another dude. They can have conversations between heaven and hell. It's like it's no long distance. You can talk, and he pleads, let my brother guide my brothers to salvation, because they know when they get there, they will blame him for leading him astray. Now, this is where we get the creepiest conversation with I think the devil. Are you new here?
Uh-huh.
It's like he's telling him about the torment to come.
Yeah, there were I couldn't tell if that's who that was supposed to be or not. There were some interesting characters down there. Like the one guy had like the stained glass face, it looked like.
That was the guy who said, "Are you new here?"
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't know what he was supposed to be.
Then they had the people with tails, scorpion tails, I think.
Oh yeah, that was yeah, that was when Estus was describing locusts, and he said, but in hell they're not the same kind of locusts. He was like, they have was like deer bodies, and
I'm gonna admit I stopped taking notes during this.
Yeah, deer bodies, the chest and arms of man. He's for some reason the hair of a woman, and yeah, scorpion tails, the teeth of a lion. I remember. I'm just I have never.
You know what? They are not locusts. Those are called demons.
Are you just making stuff up at this point?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he was. I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah. He was describing demons.
Yeah.
But I guess that would have been too far for him to go. That would have been a little bit too far to talk about demons. And not have to describe what locusts are. Yeah. They're locusts, but they're not locusts. And how does he know that? I mean, again, not a New Testament guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was throwing out all kinds of things. Like one of my favorite parts um of this movie was when he started introducing the concept of numbers out of nowhere, and he was like, the number one with uh nine, or what did he say? The number one with what was it, 6 zeros? I'm trying to even picture it now. The number one with 6 zeros is 1 million. The number one with 9 zeros is a billion. But he was like, take the number one and add 300 zeros to it. And he was like, one with 300 zeros years, there will still be no hope for anyone in hell.
He's
Like,
assuming that the universe doesn't destroy itself at some point.
I want that chart. We got to start making shirts because I want that chart on a shirt.
I'm going to link it with Greg Pirkle on LinkedIn and see if he can send it to me, or Tim Ormond. I don't know who still has the rights or props to this.
Oh,
But
man.
no, this is a ridiculous movie. Basically, everything will send you to hell
Yeah.
unless you're saved. Thankfully, Tim was saved at the end
Yeah.
while his buddy was rotting away.
So I was getting a little confused there. So he goes to church after he sees his friend decapitated. He goes up to the preacher and for some reason says the line, "I'm pretty sure he's dead."
Well, to be fair, Tim is not a doctor.
Well, his head was off his body.
He was also in a state of shock.
um and then Estus starts saying like, um you know, something like, chances are he's burning in hell right now. And then Tim sits down, um starts listening, and then I feel like I went to a scene in um Israel again, and then it went back, and Tim was sitting there in what looked like the same exact clothes, but with a woman this time, and was like, he was saying like, I feel like this preacher's coming after me and trying to make me believe stuff, and I was like, is he playing a different character now?
No, I think it was just bad filmmaking. Because that was also something that bothered me, is when he sat down, he was sitting next to one woman, and then in that other scene, he's with two different women on each side.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't know what was happening there,
It,
but
it was bad continuity, is what was happening.
yeah.
But I really enjoyed this movie. I think this will be the fourth time I've watched it. It's just so funny, and it wasn't scary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I wasn't Jewish, I would be going to hell. But I'm a chosen one. I'm going straight up to heaven.
Yeah.
But again, so much disinformation. And look, Pirkle is doing what good storytellers do: paint an image that you don't want your audience to forget.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing this movie scared people into salvation.
So did Pirkle go to Ormond and ask for these to be made, or
That
you
I
know?
don't know. I think that I don't know. I haven't read the book that came with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing Ormond might have gone to Pirkle. Their relationship only lasted through 3 movies.
Okay.
And then he did the other ones in association with other preachers, including Bad Bob Gray.
Pirkle's the way he talks and his like kind of his look kind of reminded me of the preacher that was on the TV all the time in X. You think there's any correlation there? Because I mean that was around the same time. That was early 70s, right?
Yeah. But I think Pirkle was a lot like a lot of television preachers. Now, it could have been based on him because I'm sure the director of X, Pearl, and this hopefully soon to be released Maxine um, had watched these films when they were streaming on Nicholas Redfern's website or very easy to find on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he could have watched it, but I think Pirkle is pretty much the stereotypical Southern preacher. I
Yeah.
mean, if you looked at them, they all had a similar look, well groomed and wore glasses.
Yeah. And all the same glasses.
Probably didn't need them, but just to make them
Yeah.
look smarter. There's really not much more we can say about these. So these films, plot wise, are nothing. The acting is terrible. Did this movie scare you to salvation?
Nope.
How many
It did not.
how many decapitated bikers will you give it?
I think I'm gonna go the same, 2.5.
I will do the same, 2.5. Actually, I'll go 3, an extra half for the laughs.
Yeah, I mean that's really what was given any kind of score for me. I mean, I just feel like if the movies were just those parts, they would be a lot more enjoyable, I think. And like I said, I haven't seen anything else that they've done other than these two, but are the Ormonds like good filmmakers?
No, no,
No? Okay.
no, no. I mean, they were truly exploitation filmmakers. There was a movie they made. It's on the second disc, and it's basically a country music movie, and it might be. It's actually really good. I mean, it's just for the music. Again, no real story there, but the music is fantastic. And so so the exotic ones is too, but it's just a weird movie involving burlesque dancers and basically a monster that Tim would sing to as a woman danced.
Are they
But
all pretty much this short, or
no,
some of them
the other ones are the real films are about 70 to 90 minutes.
Hmm.
I mean, perfect for a drive-in. These movies that were based on gospel, they're all about an hour because I'm sure afterward they had a sermon of their own.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for me as a film lover to watch these movies because one, I don't agree with the filmmaker. I don't agree with Pirkle. Because what I think he was doing was wrong. But these are remnants of films that I never would have known existed until this box set was announced.
Right, yeah.
And for that, I'm glad I bought it. Now, is this a box set I'll be revisiting very often? Probably not. I might program one when I have another movie night at my place, just to show people the seediness of gospel films. But
Yeah, kind of the same. I think I feel the same as well. I think that these two in particular, I know a couple people that I would show them to just based on getting laughs out of them.
I think if I still did drugs and I watched them, I'd like them even more. But I don't. I have a problem again with the concept of these films and what they were made for.
Mm-hmm.
It's, as you said earlier, these are pure indoctrination pieces, and for that I don't agree with them.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's just like I said, there's better ways to get your message across. Like, I am Christian. Sorry.
All right.
But I don't think this way. I don't think that's not what Christianity is to me. It's the complete opposite, really.
But
So it's just, to me, it's like there's so many better ways to get the
but
message across.
if you look at Southern Baptists, um, there's like the whatever the one the Duggars are part of. I mean, I watched some of the sermons from the people in the documentary. They're worse than Pirkle.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is one that believes in child abuse to control a child. It's like that is not good.
Yeah. What's
And
the real bad one? Um, I think that it was listed in that first movie of like the special thanks. I can't think of the name of it, but it's just like a real racist Baptist church.
Westboro?
Maybe, yeah. That one was listed in that first movie, I think.
I didn't see it. I would have noticed it. But the Westboro isn't. They're in. I think they're in Kansas. I've seen them a few times when I lived in Kansas City. I think they're even worse because they're just horrible people.
Mhm.
But you know what's not going to be horrible are the movies we're going to watch next week. we're leaving our trail of filth and salvation to watch two movies from the 80s that take place in Southern California. The first, Amy Heckerling, adapting Cameron Crowe's novel Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and then Nick Cage in Deborah Foreman in Valley Girl. What besides Southern California, what is the two thing that connects these movies?
Oh, I haven't seen him in so long. I don't know.
Nick Cage is in both of them.
Really? I don't remember him in the other one.
He's Brad's buddy in Fast Times. He's under the name Nicholas Coppola.
Hmm.
But I will regale you with facts about those movies next week. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this, all of our episodes will be uploaded, and more of you will subscribe. So hit subscribe, hit share, send us comments so we know that you're out there and watching. As always, I am Robert Schneider, and I'm joined by Matt Armstrong. And thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.